Welcome back to Around the World with Dane Waters. I'm your host, Dane Waters. Listen, there's so much going on around the world, whether it's political, whether it's economically, or whether it's even in, I think everything's related. Even what's happening in the entertainment world is very critical. So today, last week, a week before, I can't remember, we were very honored to have Juliette Hagerman with us to talk about the P Diddy trial, and she's back with us today. So we're going to get an update. So, Juliette, thanks for being with us again. I appreciate you waking up in the middle of the night to join us.
Yeah. Well, it's bright and early in the morning now. The sun is rising.
Oh, well, let's talk about this. So, first of all, what is the latest? I'm gonna really quiz you a lot today about the trial and about other things in Hollywood. But what is the latest on the P Diddy trial?
Well, what they're trying to do is they're really trying to end it at this point. The jurors are pretty tired. People want to go home. We have the holidays coming up here, the 4th of July. So, from what I'm understanding, they're going to make it a little more quicker. It was supposed to be 2 weeks before they wrap things up, but now they're talking about within days coming this week. So, we'll see what happens.
But let me ask this: so, is that beneficial to P Diddy or the prosecution if it wraps up quicker?
Well, it depends because they have a lot of things that they're looking at right now. It's just kind of hard to say because from the latest witnesses that they have had, they found some pros and cons, and we're hoping he's convicted, because there's really a whole lot they didn't get around to be truthful. There's so much, it's like, be truthful, this is almost like a gigantic web, and there's so many people connected to this, and there's so many powerful people connected to this that I think there's a lot of pressure coming from a lot of those very powerful people. When I say powerful, I mean everything from, of course, the entertainment industry, other people politically,
You can't
judges.
you can't tease me. You can't tease us like that, Juliette, without naming names. Okay, you can't just like tease, like every other woman in my life.
Well, I have
So
to. Same as I should be saying allegedly instead of just saying things right out. Because of course we talk about it because we're in the industry, and I'm involved with a lot of people in the music industry. I know a lot of people who are involved. Everybody practically in the incidents of witnesses as far as the entertainment industry, I either work with, met, or know. I mean, just like Tupac. I used to work with Tupac. I was a casting director for Suge Knight and did a lot of Tupac's videos. So there's so many connections with Diddy with all of that and Tupac's death, and it's just a lot. Let me put it that
okay.
way.
Well, yeah. So once again, you're teasing. So I'm gonna just go as deep as I can just to see what I can get you to say. So when you say it's connected, okay, like when you talk about P Diddy and connected, no doubt, like he's a very powerful man, very wealthy man, so he can do a lot of different things. But do you think that there are a lot of powerful people are concerned about him being convicted because that will open up the door for them for the prosecution?
Yes, yes.
Okay. And
That's possible, but also some want him to be convicted so that they just want it over because they don't want to be called in as witnesses. A lot of people have paid not to be a witness.
oh, really?
Yeah.
So when you say they paid, enlighten me. What do you mean by that?
Um, well, I wouldn't say people were bribed or anything like that, allegedly. I would just say that there's a lot of very high powered people and there's a lot of celebrities. And, for me, I don't know for sure, but you know how you're told about certain people who are involved and you're like, no way. Um, and I said, well, if that comes to light, then they're going to drag other people in and it's just going to keep going. So I knew at one point they were going to try to end it before it gets to that point, or they try to call in all of these other witnesses. Because if they call in certain witnesses, I know they're going to pull in other people. It's just going to be a mess. It's going to continuously grow, and people are going to be really shocked at some of the people involved. And these are things, like I said, I told you before, that we've been hearing about for a long time before the trial. We've been knowing a lot of things that's been going on. We know a lot of the accusations are possibly for real, for real. But I think they don't want a lot of that to come out in court.
Of course they don't. I mean, when you say powerful people, I have no doubt that there are people in Washington, D.C. and in both in the halls of Sacramento and others who have participated. I mean, first of all, P. Diddy is not going to be as famous and as successful as he is without having very successful friends as well, powerful
Exactly.
friends. I mean, that's just the way it
Exactly.
works in the world.
But a
Uh,
lot of people know that a lot of this started before Diddy. this is nothing new. It's just that he was kind of brought into, prepped, trained, and put in that position. I mean, a lot of this started way back when at one point somebody was trying to accuse like Clive Davis of a lot of stuff. Because he's guilty of a lot, allegedly. He's guilty of a
Allegedly.
lot, and he's one of the ones who brought him in, along with Andre Simone and several other people. So um,
So when you
he's
say
not by himself.
Clive Davis and others, so the things that P Diddy's accused of, as far as these sex parties and freak offs and things of that nature. I mean, first of all, I've never been invited to any sex parties, so I don't know. I don't understand how the whole process works, you know. But the so first of all, I mean, a sex party in itself is not illegal. So
No, it's not.
where does the illegality come into play?
Let me see. How can I put this?
Just spit it out,
Well,
Juliette. Come on.
let me just say, okay, let me just say this. They left a lot of things out, and there were a lot of things we were hoping that would come into play that he's guilty of, well, allegedly guilty of. And yes, there are sex parties, but we'll just say an age limit was a factor. And I didn't really hear them talk much about that, about some of the people who were involved who were way, way underage. I'll just say that, way, way underage.
So these sex parties included people that were underage, right? So
Way underage, yeah.
which that falls into the human trafficking part and sex trafficking,
Yes,
right? When you start,
yes. And that's one of the things they were trying to get them on, but they never really brought that out. They brought it out for some of the older, like teenagers or whatever else, or older people. But like I said, there's just so much they didn't bring out, so much that he has done, so much that he's involved in, so much that we all know because we had been hearing about it all along, or we may know people who were there.
I mean, that's the thing. I mean, it's like the Jerry Epstein thing, where Jeffrey Epstein, where he talked about the big issue that he got in was underage girls, and then when you start using
Exactly.
underage girls, that's when you get into sex trafficking, and that was the
Exactly.
thing about him. So, but here's a question: like underage girls, where do they come from? I mean, how do you in Hollywood end up with getting underage girls to come to these parties? Are there groups of people that provide them, or how does that work?
Yes.
Okay, yes, I love that answer. Yes.
And organizations that provide them.
Oh, really? It must be. Is that a big business in Hollywood?
It can be, yes.
It can be, yes. Well, I mean, I think that with P. Diddy, what the other thing was interesting about the trial is that the mystery woman, Jane Doe, who testified, um, her legal fees and her apartment was still being paid by P. Diddy, even though she was testifying against him, right?
Yeah, I think my opinion, I think that a lot of these people may have been brought forth and pressured to go ahead and testify because it's out there already. And now that a lot of people have seen the evidence, because they're showing the tapes now, so people are seeing that a lot of this stuff is real and it really happened. Um, so yeah.
Well, okay, so let's talk about last time we chatted, you talked about that there's
Hmm.
a possibility that if he's convicted, um, that he would be pardoned, in your opinion, could be pardoned by the president.
Hmm.
Um, you know, given this president, I mean, I mean, I think it's a very strong possibility because he would, by pardoning P. Diddy, he would be protecting a lot of people, correct?
Exactly. But I just
And
don't, I can't see that happening.
you don't think he's going to pardon him?
No. Hate to put it this way, but by him being black, I just don't see it happening.
Well, he's not going to. You're saying that the president of the United States isn't going to pardon any black people? So, well, thank
Well, yeah,
God if I can.
he could, but it's just, it's going back to that whole web of things. If he were to pardon him and some of the people who are behind the president, who are, hey, I'll say it, I feel a lot of prejudice in the White House.
Well,
And I can
I have
see
no doubt
them
about that.
pressuring him not to.
Well, but it also depends. I mean, I would imagine that a lot of the people that the president's close to, who are close to P. Diddy, are not black. They're probably white.
Mhm.
So,
I don't think he was necessarily close to P. Diddy. I think P. Diddy might have done some favors for him.
that's probably true. So you got to drop a name. You got to give me a name. Like, when you talk about protecting people, like,
Hmm.
you read the news. I mean, who by this trial ending quicker, Like, can you give me a couple names of people that you think are benefit the most out of that?
Who's benefiting the most out of what? Him in jail or?
Well, at the trial ending,
Oh,
and yeah,
a lot of celebrities. J Lo.
J Lo, really?
Yeah.
Why J Lo? Help us understand why is J Lo going to benefit from that?
Allegedly, she's guilty of a lot of things. And if a lot of things go into trial and people start testifying and started bringing her name up of things that she may have done illegally, then she might be put on trial. Um, yeah, there's a lot of people.
Okay, yeah, I can't wait for this is over and you're going to spill the beans. You're going to have to spill the
Yeah, then
beans.
I could talk more,
Then you
especially
can
if he
talk.
stays in jail. Because somebody else I know was saying, you better be careful what you're saying, because if he gets out and finds all of this stuff out, people are going to be dying.
Don't worry, I'll protect you from P Diddy. I mean, I'll take care of you. I'll protect you. So talk to me about so what is the if he's convicted, what is the he could go to jail for how long, or what's the sentencing possibilities?
I'm not sure because they said two different things, and I really haven't paid attention to the trial much lately. It's just been after a while, you're just like, you're tired of hearing about it.
Yeah, but but
I
but
mean,
in
they wanted to
Hollywood,
give him life, is what they wanted to
yeah,
do.
they
Hmm.
should give him life for wearing outfits like that I just saw on TV. Um, so let's talk about Hollywood, just the climate in Hollywood. I mean, we talked about that. We touched on this briefly last time about how with the
Hmm.
Me Too and all that kind of stuff, things haven't really changed.
Now,
Uh,
no, actually, they have because so many people have been exposed, and since Jeffrey Epstein and a bunch of other things happened, a lot of people have, I'll say, calmed down. P. Diddy felt that he was untouchable because he knew too many people. So he felt that he would always get away because he had always been getting away. This isn't the first accusations against him. They've been accusing him for a long time. People have been trying to take him to court and to jail for a while, but it's always been major payoffs um, and people being threatened. Normally you'd be threatened really bad because there's quite a few people who I think some may have testified, but some have not, that were really threatened about exposing Diddy.
and yeah, I mean, so yes, as we were just talking about, I mean, sex parties
And
and things that
some
he's,
possibly unalived, allegedly, quite a few.
Juliet, you're the biggest tease I've ever met in my life. I just want you to know that, okay? So yeah, you know,
Okay, well, I'll
uh,
mention one
okay.
because we really was hoping this would come up in court, and that was Kim Porter.
Kim Porter? Kim,
Kim Porter, who he was with, who his children are by, who are with, who he had kids by.
mhm.
Um, none of us believed that she just one day caught pneumonia and died. I mean, she was coming out with a book. Her, I'll be sure, he was almost unalived. I was hoping to hear his testimonies. I mean, he really came back from the dead. And the list goes on of so many people who were kind of injured or all of a sudden had some weird, strange pneumonia. A lot of that happened with a lot of people, and it was all connected to Diddy. And we were hoping to hear people's testimonies, but like I said, it's been cut off now.
In Hollywood, let's just be blunt about it. P Diddy, listen, he's not the only person to have ever done this, right? He's not the only person
Exactly.
to. I mean, it's a climate out there, right, of this
Yeah.
type of behavior. Um, what do you think any of it's ever going to change? Do you think that there's any chance, like a conviction, is going to change anything?
Yes, because people will understand that they could go down for it before powerful people in Hollywood, especially the ones with money, assume they're untouchable. And that would be almost like using P. Diddy as an example that you could go down. I mean, there's so many people I know who've done a lot of things, but they've gotten away with it.
Hmm.
Either they've paid people off or people have come up missing.
So once again, so if P Diddy is found guilty, do you think
Hmm.
that this will embolden the Department of Justice to bring other charges against other people?
Possibility. But right now, if they're trying to end things so quickly, I think they're really trying to shut it down. I really do. This could have seriously gone on for a year. There's so much mess. Let me put it that way. So much and so many people involved. So many people have fled the country who were tied up with P. Diddy.
Oh, really? Wow.
Yeah.
Uh,
Well, I'll name one, Ellen.
Like Ellen of Ellen DeGeneres, Ellen?
Yeah,
Was she? This is mind-boggling to me. So Ellen was involved with P Diddy as well.
very close. And when things were first starting to go down, and people finding things out and accusations, people around her started dying. Portia apparently just drove her Porsche into a house, killed herself, burned up, or whatever happened.
Well, that was Ellen's
Um,
girlfriend, right? Portia. Yeah,
yeah,
Portia
um,
Rossi or whatever it was. Yeah.
exactly. The closest person to her, Twitch, all of a sudden, the happiest man out there dancing. We would see him out, just him and his wife. And one day, all of a sudden, oh, he committed suicide. All of this
Hmm.
happened right around the time when things were starting to come down on Diddy. This is before all of this happened, though, before Cassie. But the feds were already, investigating.
Well, if you look at P. Diddy's temperament, I mean, there's no doubt. I mean, he threatened people that has come out in trial. I mean, has a very violent. One thing we
Yeah.
talked about before is that, to be a tough guy, you try to get the persona of being a tough guy. But it looks like P. Diddy is actually not a very good human being, right?
Yeah.
Uh, uh, well, it's just, let me just kind of switch gears. You're Nigerian, and from the standpoint of the music industry and the entertainment industry in Nigeria, do you think Hollywood is different than like Bollywood or Nigeria or other places? Or you think this type of behavior happens all over the world in the entertainment
I think it
business?
happens all over the world, but I do think it's different here because we've been involved for so long. Nigeria, I mean, they have their own industry, so to speak, as far as Nollywood. But here in the U.S., of course, we've had the industry going on for an extremely long time. The film industry and the music industry, and we've had a lot of hmm, I'll just say this, pedophiles. And that's been one of the worst cases that they're trying to crack into here.
Hmm.
Um, the human trafficking, of course, what you all have there, they're trying to crack into it and kind of clean that up some. But it seems like anytime somebody's like really strong out there trying to fight it, something happens to them, you know?
Right. Yeah,
And it
yeah,
seems like the people who are really behind it thrive.
well, Juliette, sadly, we're out of time. Well, when there's a verdict, I'd like to have you back on so you can kind of tell us what's going on and what to expect next. But thank you for, teasing us with these names that you dropped with us today.
Hey, I gotta
And
watch what I say.
no, listen, you and me both. But I'm going to come hang out with you when I come to LA, and you'll have to show me the ropes. I appreciate it.
Okay.
Anyway, Juliette, thanks for being with us. I appreciate it, and I'll talk to you soon.
All right.
Um,
Bye.
Thanks for being with Dane Waters around the world with Dane Waters. Next week, we'll be talking more in depth about what's happening in the Middle East, and actually Russia, and of actually this trifecta of bad karma out there and evil countries out there, and see how it all ties in together. Anyway, thanks for being with us today, and we'll see you again next week. Thank you.